Let's take a look at Oak Hill, hole one. Seems like a pretty straightforward hole, um, but you can find trouble here occasionally. This is one that you want to eagle also. I should point that out right off the bat. If you take a birdie on this, you're definitely losing strokes to the field. Um, and the challenges here primarily are, well, one, the length, it's almost 600 feet. Two, the wind can be a challenge. Three, out of the right is one of the more adverse winds. And you have these couple trees that are in the fairway. I don't know if you'd call them guardian trees or not because they're nowhere near the basket, but they certainly can come into play with certain drives. This one can come into play with a forehand if you want to try to throw a forehand up there uh, in a strong wind out of the right. That might be a good play. This one can come into play if you want to try to throw a turn disc on a backhand. You could turn it over too much and smack into that tree. There's also some elevation here, a little mound that can come into play if you try to throw a roller. And there's some rocks underneath this tree here that can get in the way of a roller. So there's some stuff here. It's not completely an open park shot. But my play, 100% of the time, regardless of the wind, I just adjust to make it work best I can. Is take the glide, skip, drive. Blister Pro works also. Aim to the right of this tree, and then based on the wind, adjust the release angle. This little wind's not going to influence it a whole lot. I'm probably going to go about 3/4 a disc, maybe, worth a hyzer. Uh, and for me, I'm just trying to get within like 100 feet of the basket. Anything within 100 feet, uh, I've got a very high percentage rate of making that. So yeah, just go to the right and throw the glide skip. Now, if you get too far out, you can start to encounter some of these little bushes. Like I say, they will take some distance off your drive, but they're not going to stop it. They're just going to reduce the distance. So that's still very good, obviously. I'll putt there. Now, this is not quite the most adverse wind because it's got a tailwind component, but if this was a headwind, it would be, in my opinion, the most adverse wind. But here you've got a couple different options. I would still go to the right. Just give it enough anhyzer to get it out to the right. Something like at least a disc worth. Let's see how this looks. Uh, I'm not saying this is the optimal solution. Again, it's just what I do. And I got a little quirky balance that actually probably helped me on that one. But let me just rethrow. I got that wind. All right, the other option, of course, is you could go forehand. And here's where that second tree on the left there could come into play if you're not careful. Don't want to overcook this too much. But you do want to try to challenge it a little bit so that you can hopefully not go too far from the basket. And that's going to be pretty good. That's that's about 40 feet away probably. So that's doable. The other option, you could use a turn disc on the backhand. I have the turn glide drive. I don't bag the turn skip. But let's see what the turn glide drive looks like here. And I'm going to bring the chevrons over because I don't want to challenge this tree too much. And then we're going to go probably about a disc worth of anhyzer. Let's see how this looks. Maybe a little more. Well, you want to try to fight that wind. So that's not bad. 62 feet away. So yeah. So those are the other options. Um, Again, pretty straightforward. If you want to try something a little different, I would just go into practice mode and play around with it. And again, I know for a fact you can make this shot work uh, all the time because I do. And I'm not saying I get eagle 100%, but it's north of 90 anyway. So yeah, so that's a quick look at Oak Hill hole 1. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you around the valley.